Hey everybody, Kevin Weiss, bodyperformance.net, and I'm teaming with Riptone Fitness Products to bring you this video on the Sumo Deadlift. This is a bit of a follow-up video to the conventional deadlift one that I did a while ago. So this just gives people another option and another exercise to try out and see what they like best or what fits their particular needs at this time. So the Sumo Deadlift is like any other lift. You want to start in a good position so that you can finish in a good position. So we need to set up from the ground properly before we even think about lifting the weights. So when I'm talking about setting up from the ground, that's going to involve not only where your feet are, how wide they are, but also the angle out that they have and what you're doing with your knees when you're setting yourself up. So you want to set your feet wide enough that when you bend your knees, bringing your hips down, your shins are quite straight up and down, quite vertical, and they're not pitching in or out or forward. So as you see in the video, if your stance is a bit too narrow, your shin angle is going to be slightly in. If you're, I don't really show in the video a really wide stance because I can't do a really wide stance. But some people are very flexible, so they can do a wider stance than a lot of people and get away with it because of their hip flexibility. But for the average person, you're wanting to get that straight up and down shin position, and that's going to be the strongest place that you can be from. So by turning your feet out at approximately a 45-degree angle, if you are one of those people that can go wider, then you can also turn your feet out further. But for the average person, 45-degree angle out, and in the bottom position, your shin should be pretty straight up and down. If you go too narrow, you're just going to not get as much hip drive out of it. So now from there, let's talk about where the hips should be. A lot of people, when they first switch from conventional to sumo, they think that it's all about trying to squat the weight up because they've heard that it's easier on your back and puts more on their legs. Well, that is true. But if you drop your hips into too low of a position to try and squat the weight instead of press the weight off the ground with your legs and hips, it also pulls your shoulders slightly back. So now you're in a position where you're behind the bar and it's not the most effective position to push the weight off the ground. You want your shoulders to be over top of the bar. Maybe depending on your dimensions, you might even want your shoulders very slightly ahead of the bar. That gives you the best shot of pushing the bar off the ground in a straight line, continuing up to lockout without having to make a lot of compensations in what you're doing. So as you can see in the video, when I'm set up in a position that I like to pull from, my hips are nowhere near parallel. They're quite a bit above parallel, whereas opposed to a squat, you're looking to be below parallel. So a deadlift is not a squat, remember that. Now let's move on to your grip and your hand position. So now you got a few options here as far as how you want to grip the bar. A standard grip or what I would consider a standard grip being the alternating grip where one hand's forward, one hand is back, is a pretty go-to grip for most people. Lately there's been more focus on the hook grip. A lot of people like the hook grip. I myself personally don't like it because my hands are too small. I can't do it effectively. It hurts my thumbs a lot. So you'll see in the video what the hook grip is actually about, but I myself personally am not a huge fan of it. Give it a try though. What I like to do is when I'm not competing, I like to use straps in mine because it keeps my shoulders in more of an even position. If you're always using an over-under grip, your one shoulder is always a little bit forward of the other, and that over time that can cause a little bit of trouble. And also with your underhand, you're putting a little bit more stress, or you can put a little bit more stress on your bicep tendon, so that can be a problem over time as well. Using straps takes care of that. You see when in the video when I have the straps on, my shoulders are nice and even, my arms are straight up and down, and I can keep that position without having to worry about losing my grip. So that's a really good option if you're not practicing your competition grip. Another simple way to increase your grip that a lot of people don't even know about is by using a wrist wrap. So you take your wrist wrap and you squeeze your fist very tight before you put it on, and then you wrap your wrist as tight as you can, and you'll find that when you let go of your wrist, when you try and open your hand does not want to open it. It actually is that because you've squeezed the tendons in the hand, it actually wants to keep that position of a closed fist. So this can give you a little bit of an advantage no matter what grip you're using, whether you're using a hook grip or whether you're using an over-under grip, where your hand wants to stay in the clenched position. So give that one a try. You can go try it right now with your wrist wrap, because you'll notice right away that in that position it wants to keep your hand closed. So the arm position is the next thing I want to deal with, and that is that the arms must be straight up and down. If you're gripping too far in, obviously you're going to be on the smooth of the bar. That's not going to help you hold on. If you're gripping too far out, now you've increased the distance that you have to actually hold the bar or actually pull the bar, and that's not going to be helpful in the long run when you're trying to lift as much weight as possible. Your best position is always going to be straight up and down with your arms. If you keep your back straight, you keep your arms straight, and the last thing I want to talk about is keeping your head straight or neutral. You're going to have yourself in the best position that you can to do an effective pull. So with your head position, when I say straight, I mean basically neutral, like your head would be if you were standing up and you were just looking straight. A lot of people, when they start pulling off the ground, they like to look up. I'm not telling you can't do that. I'm just saying start from a neutral position. That's going to be a good place to start from, and then adjust as needed to find what's most effective for you. So I think I've covered everything that I want to in the Sumo Deadlift. There's questions, go ahead and send them to me at bodyperformance@gmail.com. I'm Kevin Weiss from bodyperformance.net, teaming with Rip Tone Fitness Products. I hope this helped you out. I'm going to talk to you again real soon.